Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show. I am your host, Dr. Will, and I am here with Kelly Roach. How are you doing, Kelly?
Hey, Dr. Will, super excited to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. It's been awesome, awesome. I've been waiting on the show, very excited since I came across you on social media.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
know Twitter is such a great place to make connections and see what people are up to and, just expand your horizons. It's a great place to do business too.
Awesome, awesome. So today, people, we're going to be talking about betting on yourself. And so
Mhm.
for me, with teachers, that's about that next level and making that money, making that leap to start your own business. So Kelly, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Awesome, awesome. So you work with entrepreneurs and assist them in launching their business. What would you say are the skills needed to become a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first and foremost, before skills comes two things. Mindset is definitely first and foremost. Work ethic. Certainly in the beginning of launching a business, you're going to work more and earn less than you probably did in your last gig, right? So, and I always say the most important skill is the willingness to take imperfect action. So work ethic, belief in yourself, willingness to take imperfect action, those are the things that get you in the game and keep you in the game. And then once you're in the game, you need to develop skills like copywriting and marketing, and you really have to invest in yourself constantly to develop the skills to be a leader in whatever space you want to lead in. Wherever you plan on building your business, you have to not only become an expert at what it is you do, but an expert at building business in that arena.
Mm. So what should be the motivating factor for starting a business? Is it just about making the money?
I don't think that's enough. I definitely don't think that's enough. You go through so many ups and downs, and it's a long road to becoming a successful entrepreneur. I mean, even if you're at the six-figure mark in your business, you're still barely paying costs, paying to get support and then taking some home. So it's really not until you make it to the multi-six figures that you're actually starting to enjoy, some of the benefits of being an entrepreneur, which means that you have to have the passion and the drive and the love for what you're doing to keep you in the game for long enough to get to that point. A lot of people don't make it to that point. Most small businesses, the person takes home $50,000 or less, which at that point, it's kind of like, is there even a point of being in business, right? Because you could have worked less and earned more doing something else. So no, I don't think money is enough. I think that you have to have a desire to serve in some way, shape, or form. I think that you have to have a passion for what you're doing. Now, I think it's very important that you ensure that you can monetize your passion. And I don't, sometimes people get confused between building a business around their passion and actually understanding how to monetize their idea. Those are two different things. So I do want to clarify that. But definitely you have to be passionate about your business to stay in it for the long haul and to really get to your ultimate goal. Because even if you are successful, you won't have the drive to continue regardless of the money if there isn't more to it, if your purpose is not tied into that business.
Mm. And I liked how you talked about the whole uh, how do you monetize and how you can put all this work and still make all this money.
Mm-hmm.
When I first graduated with my second bachelor's, I started like this consulting company,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't making any money.
Uh-huh.
And okay, well, I got to scrap that. And so I went back to grad school and eventually earning my doctorate, and now I work in the public school system, but I also present and keynote, and now I'm
Yeah.
making money that way.
Yep.
But it's not income where if I don't do this, if I don't get paid for this speech, I can't pay my bills.
Right, right, right.
So it's great on that end. And so I brought it up to say, if you don't have clients, you aren't making any money. So how does one actually build a paying customer base?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you have to get really serious about lead generation. I always say there's three steps to growing your business: lead generation, nurture events, and then conversion events. So basically, you get them in the funnel, you move them down the funnel, and then you close them. right? And most small business owners never really develop the skill set or the understanding of the lead generation part of the puzzle. And so, of course, they're not happy with what happens on the nurture and then the conversion side, which is closing them. So in terms of how do you get good at closing clients and growing your business, how do you start generating leads for paying customers? First, you have to pick a platform. So there's a million different platforms out there, from Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter to Periscope. It really doesn't matter. That any lead generation platform that you pick can work for you, but you have to have a strategy where you're proactively finding the people on that platform that are within your target market, directly engaging with them, and then moving them through that know, like, and trust process. And I think so much of what people think about social media, for example, is wrong. Back a couple of years ago, you could maybe post on social media and think someone might see your content and that, then they're going to become your client, right? That doesn't work today. There has to be engagement. And so, I talk a lot on the live streams that I do and in my podcast and stuff like that. People want more than an email. So whatever platform you pick. So for example, Twitter is one of the platforms we use. So as we find people that like, my Twitter page, that like me and become a fan, that are in our target market, that are entrepreneurs, we add them to different lists in Twitter. And then what we do is we start messaging those people, and we start proactively sharing podcast episodes with them and free resources. We retweet their tweets, we comment on them, we engage with them. So there's a back and forth dialogue. And then ultimately we work to get them on one of our webinars. And then from the webinar, we close them and they become a paying client. You can do that with any platform that you want. So it's not really about where to go, it's what to do when you get there. And the what to do when you get there is first find them, then directly engage them, add immense value for them with free content, with things that respond to what you're seeing them post, what you're learning that their wants and needs are, and then finally invite them to an engagement event. And when I talk about engagement event, that could be a sales meeting, that could be a phone consultation, that could be a live webinar, that could be a web streaming event, that could be getting them to start listening to your podcast and then converting them from there. There's any number of things that it could be, but you have to go through that systematic process. And most entrepreneurs think it's like post and pray, right? You put stuff out there. If you create good content, they will come. And that's simply not the case. It's not if you create good content, they will come. It's if you find people in your target market, engage with them directly, add immense value for them, and invite them to take the next step, then they will come and they will close, if that makes sense. I know that was kind of a long answer, but did I give you what you were looking for there?
No, that's awesome because a lot of the teachers that I know have blogs, and a lot of and they're on Twitter and Facebook and other sites. And for those, and this is podcasting for some of those who are literally they're thinking, I love teaching, but I wouldn't mind, making a little extra money because I have all these resources, all of this experience to share.
Yes.
And when I talk to teachers about sort of blogging, because there are teachers who are not blogging, they're not on Twitter, or they're just sort of starting out.
Sure.
And for them to understand, how do I use it? How do I make it of value to me? Particularly if I say, well, you know what, I could get use of getting paid $6,000 to go in somewhere for 8 hours,
right? Yeah.
And so that was a great answer.
Yeah. And what's beautiful, what I love about Twitter and LinkedIn, and I have a lot of clients that work a full-time job and then they're building a side business. I mean, heck, nobody these days can afford to start their business, from scratch and not have some stream of income because it costs money to run a business, So, one of the reasons why I love helping my clients to use Twitter and to use LinkedIn and to use these other platforms to build their business is, you can be in bed, at night before you go to bed and spend an hour on LinkedIn each night before you go to bed, messaging people and sending out podcast episodes and sending out articles or blog posts or, messaging people and scheduling phone consultations. You can do that research anytime, day or night. So you're not limited to regular business hours, which is awesome.
Cool. So we know we live in a digital world,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but some businesses treat going digital as if they still have a choice.
Uh-huh.
Uh, why are so many entrepreneurs so reluctant to take the digital leap?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of moving pieces with going digital. And I think that just as in traditional sales, you have to be very persistent and consistent and super focused. I mean, you have to make the outbound calls, you have to do the follow-ups, you have to schedule the meetings, you have to have a certain number of face-to-face visits each week in order to close the amount of clients that you want. The same thing goes for taking your business digital. And I think a lot of people, there's a lot of information out there about where you should be and quote unquote what you should do, but not how to do it. And I think that's really intimidating for people. I know for me, for a very long time, I didn't really use LinkedIn or Twitter in my business because honestly, I really didn't understand it. Like I didn't know how to monetize it. I just knew we were supposed to be on it, but I had no idea what to do with it. And I think that's where most people are. It's like this big looming thing of like, okay, yeah, I can get on it, but then what do I do when I get there? And that's why I really try to make sure in my teaching, in my podcasts, in interviews like I do that with this, that I'm breaking down not the what, but the how, because everyone knows the what, right? It's the how that people really get stuck on. So I hope that process that I just walked through gave a good example for people. Like, on Twitter, you can research the people that are following influencers that do what you do or do something similar that serve the same market. And that's how you can find people to add to your Twitter list that are going to be a match for you, that are going to be prospects for you. On LinkedIn, you can use the advanced search function. You can search by company size and job title and all of those other demographics and find people that way. So that first step is you got to find your people, right? And I think it's intimidating for people when it just can be confusing. But I do agree with you. I mean, it's a digital world. And the later you join, the harder it becomes, I think.
So speaking of digital, what made you create and host your own podcast show? How have you leveraged your podcast show to become a thought leader? And why do you believe entrepreneurs should launch their own podcasts?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, the podcast has been unreal in terms of what it has done for my business. It's now our #1 lead generation source on a weekly basis. We have people joining our list every single week from the podcast. We have new clients joining our programs every single month from the podcast. And so I had been doing podcast interviews for probably close to 3 years on other people's shows. And I just wanted a way to connect with people in a more real way. Writing is not really natural for me. It feels very boring to me, to be completely honest. And I wanted a way to like just talk to my audience and just like share myself and share what it is that I help my clients with and build relationships. And I felt like podcasting was a good next step to actually like bring more of myself to my audience versus writing articles that it didn't really show any of who I am, if that makes sense. For me, the podcast has been a huge part of becoming a thought leader in my space because there's a lot of names out there that can say that they're a business coach or, in my case, a business growth strategist. But when I'm getting on a podcast 3 times a week and I'm breaking down for people how I'm helping my clients make 6- and 7-figure leaps in their business, that's very different than running a Facebook ad that says, this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually showing people for free how to do it. And so people are telling people because they're like, wow, this is like the real deal, and I'm sure you experience the same thing with your show as well. So definitely, I think anyone that wants to build an online business should seriously consider podcasting. And, we actually build out an entire section of my main flagship program all around monetizing a podcast because it's such a powerful, low-cost way to get your message out there and gain clients and get leads and grow your business for sure.
Awesome. I'm trying to do that because I wouldn't mind a little sponsor where I could put a little logo on the screen and get, maybe $100 per episode or whatever. I would love to, learn how to get that going for my own podcast.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to talk to you about coaching. Should someone, a budding entrepreneur, seek out the assistance of a coach or business strategist? And if so, what should they be looking for to get out of the relationship?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say yes and no. if you are someone that is seriously ready to take action and can put your fear aside and are really in a position mentally where like you are like, this is happening for me, I would say hire a coach. If you're not really in a place mentally where you're committed to actually listening to someone else's guidance and using that and taking action on it, no, don't, because it'll be a bad investment for you. You know, you can only get return on investment from working with a coach if you're ready, willing, and able to take action on the guidance that they're giving to you. Now, in terms of finding a coach, you know, first and foremost, look for someone that walks their talk, right? So if you want to work with someone that, you know, helps you create a certain outcome, make sure that when you look at their business and when you see what they're doing, that you're like, yes, like that's what I want to be doing. Like that's what I aspire to. Those are the results that I want to get. You know, it's like working with someone that does Facebook marketing, that doesn't run any ads for their own business. You know, that's kind of scary, right? So you need to look at it in that way. You need to look at the history of their career. You need to look at what their experience and their results are. You need to look at their testimonials. You know, you need to make sure that they're really invested in you and that they're going to give you everything they've got to help you to achieve your goals.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Kelly, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy it because, you know, I've been in this game a long time, and I've started to sort of crystallize and package, you know, myself, because a long time, you know, I don't want to say a jack of all trades, but I had so many interests and so many things that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
That when I posted information or I spoke at conferences or I did all these things. Even my blog, a lot of different sort of things were kind of coming out. And now I'm going, okay, I need a sort of a single voice to what I actually bring to the table to attract the audience, to attract schools or organizations that would actually bring me in to do those speaking gigs.
Yeah. Well, the podcast is the perfect way to do it. So once you're clear on what you want to do and you know who you want to serve, you know, just get a great marketing plan, you know, focus on being really consistent, deliver that over the top value, which obviously you are, and, you know, no limit to what you can do.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, people, you know how we do. This podcast is going up on my blog. It's going up on SoundCloud, and it'll be on YouTube, and I'll definitely be tweeting it out. Nice. And ways for you to be able to connect with Kelly on Twitter. So as always, people, be you, edu, peace.